havoc here for LGD.
It's such a massive nuisance, forcing the early carrying of, dust sentries to just ensure that they're safe, forcing this huge movement out just for the support Weaver. It's just not achieving anything on the map. It's a nice pickup to find, but it's not enough to offset this start. And Falcons, again, there's just nothing stopping this kind of playstyle. Amar is just holding his lane. You're not managing to match that farm on Shiro, even though he's not being threatened out. You do have, again, level 6s are somewhat lining up. Maybe you reach this point where you hit the egg, you hit perhaps the BKB timing for new. That's when you can start to be a little bit more comfy. Try to aim for at least a 2-man black hole, or even just one on a slippery hero. You can build off of that. The bigger thing is maybe something like the blink for PYW. That is also something like they just don't have a very easy way of starting these fights. Whereas for Falcons, it's just Shukuchi in.
Nice Icarus dive away, but Crit is right behind him. If they want to try and make the jump in, it seems like they will. Y can do nothing about it. And in comes Skidder now. Shiro, he's in pretty big danger. He'll go for the Infest play away, but the arena is down, and ATF is not going to allow him to get away, though Shiro does rage to run, but Crit is just keeping up all the vision. Gets the blood grenade. Shiro, he's just got no gameplay. Look, what do you do, Falcons? They're just rotating so effectively across the map. In LGD, they are just finding nothing for their trouble.
That they aren't. And they're playing to their tempo really well on the side of Falcons. They understand that LGD just went off on slower lanes, have to wait for these item timings, have to wait for these level spikes.
Oh, ATF, he's found another one. He's got the Enigma now, New. Gonna go for a bit of a run, but in comes Skidder and Snaking running right towards New as the hands are up. ATF will wave him goodbye. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Now 4-6, but more importantly a 7k advantage 12 minutes in. That's a problem. That's
a problem. It's a massive lead for Falcons early. They've lost all their tier 1s in LGD. Again, it's just an issue of map control. You're playing up against an IO Gyro, an IO DK. They can be anywhere on the map. They're farming insanely well on pretty much all of their cores right now on the side of Falcons. And LGD just hasn't been able to exert that effort. Again, just no rotations onto mid. They're stuck in the side lanes. They'll try for a smoke out now. If they find a much more substantial pickoff, it would be nice, but all they see is Crit.
All they see is Crit. Now PYW is going to try. He'll rotate past the mid-river. Crit still hanging around that area, but it's not an easy target. It is a Weaver after all. They are still going to try and loop around and get him, and they have got the Laguna out, so PYW able to set up nicely against the Crit Weaver. In fact, I believe that may have been the Light Strike Ray landing first. There you go. They do get something, but here comes Falcon's top lane. New in trouble. Jump is there from ATF. They've got the spear out, and that's a much better kill.
Yeah, just like that. Just in the snap, New disappears, and again, it's just this timing from Falcons. They get this blink on Amar. He's just all over the place. They have that easy initiation, which is again, something that LGD kind of lacks. You have the blink being queued up now here on PYW. A while ago, who's kind of trying for phase boots, realizes the blink is a necessity in this game. They've also got, Supernova and Black Hole ready. The issue is I don't see an easy way for them to connect both of the spells at this moment. Until that BKB is up on you, your combo is not going to go off in its full potential just yet.
Oh, bottom lane, they might run into somebody here. What's that? Oh. Got somebody. It looks like PYW does get caught out on the Tiny here down at bottom lane, but barely running. The Beetle's still giving the vision though, and Crit just gets the kill. In fact, it was Maureen. Just the DPS over time, just getting it done.
Yeah, just caught him out, and that's a big hero to stall out. Again, that blink timing, every single second it's not there, it feels really hard for LGD. They have managed to let Shiro farm into the Midas, so he's got some recovery farm built in. He's going for the armlet next. There can be some plays that start to come in. It feels like it's hanging on this blink for Tiny. It's hanging on this BKB for their Enigma. And as long as they don't lose tier 2s, I think that's kind of your goal now on LGD. Prevent Falcons from taking more of the map away from you. Hug what you can. Hold what you can defend here for LGD, and just try to build back into the point where this strong team fight that you've drafted for yourself can finally kick in. And, it's in the draft here for LGD where, again, you need levels. Like, this Phoenix needs a lot of levels to start to melt these strength cores. Sunray's still stuck at level 1. It's going to be a while until you can really put a dent in this sustain that Falcons has.
It's a bit of a timing-based kind of game here for LGD. Just drag this out as long as possible. Are going to get scouted by PYW. They'll go for the Avalanche and the Toss combination. ATF going to drop the arena here, try and defensively get the hell out as the Laguna is there, but ATF He just casually walks out. No problem.
Gets a really good spot to block off the patting, so it's a good move. It's just not good enough. Omar's just happy to rotate back through the gate, go back to farm. They've got Roche control now as well, which doesn't take too long when you've got the Weaver bugs around, even at the value point, and they'll just get that done. So they dodge the gank, they force out the Laguna, they force all of this movement and just go across and take another objective. They've got to be able to hold.
I mean, he could be a real hero here, this Phoenix. If you can time this right, why? This could be a real big deal for LGD. In fact, they kind of need it to happen. Why's going to stick around. We'll see how well he can play the guessing game. Falcons still going. Fire Spirits are there, but no. He won't throw any out. He's got no vision. Why, at the very least, does save himself.
Yeah, he tries for it at the very least, knows the information's there. They've got the wards to spot that movement across, but it's scary. This is the moment where Falcons with the Aegis can start to look for those tier 2s, can start to knock on the high ground and really shrink down that map. And you still need a lot of catch-up for him here. The core difference is just massive. You know, your highest farm is on Emo, 6.9k, about good 1.4 behind. It's not a great feeling for LGD, lacking that burst play that we were expecting, lacking that counter sustain that we were looking for, that massive team fight. Falcons, they've got the itemization already up and running. They've got that full Ags up on Skitter along with Crystallis. He's got a lot of output. You've got that same build Kezu was mentioning on the DK, going for the Mantis style on Malorine with the Blink up, has the Midas up. So they're really playing their tempo well here in Falcons, and it's down to LGD. They've got to weather the storm until they have their own tools, until that BKB's up at the very least.
Here we go, Falcons. Bottom tier 2 tower is now being targeted. PYW was around but just leaves the area, realizing he cannot do anything by himself. Falcons, they're going to get away with a very early tier 2 tower by the looks of it. Glyph will be forced, but Skitter is not retreating. He wants to keep going. In top lane, they do have the option for ATF, but ATF's the one to jump in. Why? He's the one to get caught, and is there any help coming? Well, ATF's going to leave. It's not about the kill, John. It's about sending a message.
Yeah, too low on mana, Soul Ring on cooldown, so couldn't quite go for the burst play. Couldn't go for the right-click side or where the Fire Spirit's running.
Unfortunate.
But he is holding them back. Like that slows down this movement onto the tier 1. That frees up that movement for the tier 2 bot. All of LGD is basically hanging around on top. Tier 2 mid now is clear for them to keep pushing in. Like there's no answer for this tempo coming out from Falcons. It's all just trying to prevent the bleeding on LGD, but they can't fight back just yet, although TPs are coming in at least.
Tier 2 mid tower is a bit of a bigger deal, I'd argue, here, and LGD just kind of accepting that they cannot allow this to go the way of Falcons for free. They'll rotate, but Falcons more than happy with what they see. Plenty of rotations happening here into the mid lane, so they just retreat. You know, this is just all wasted time for LGD. They're just stuck waiting around this area. Look at Crit. What's Crit up to? He's just messing with them now. In comes PYW. Does get the avalanche into the toss back and Crit. He does get the time lapse, but they'll land the light strike array. Crit. It's just demoralizing to watch them. Like, you've got 4 heroes around a support Weaver, and now Shiro. Not Shiro! He gets infested, but Shiro, he'll run. But he's down. God. The armlet toggle not going to work out for him. Is now News in trouble. Skitter just getting tossed right in, but he won't mind. Or will he? The egg is down, but they've lost New. They've lost the Phoenix as well, and it seems like Falcons may have just made LGD lose this game because it's looking a little bit too one-sided.
That it is. They chase so far for the Weaver. They lack the Laguna for burst on the follow-up, and it's just too much commitment for that Weaver. That's been the first game. Amar!
Hey, ATF, you gotta calm down, sir. I mean, he's got his BKB up, but ATF's looking a little bit too cocky here, John.
You know, that's just how Amar plays. When he's ahead, he wants to be further ahead. Wants to try to keep them down here in LGD, but these racks are certainly falling down. They do still have the tier 2 standing on mid and top, so at the very least, mega creeps for secondary racks isn't a possibility just yet. But again, it's still the waiting game for LGD. They're dropping egg. We haven't seen a black hole from New just yet. And, you know, he had a decent lane. We saw some lane kills. The laning pressure was there from the Enigma. But that teamfight contribution you're looking for as it scales up, it's not quite there, as we can see again in this replay.
Yeah, it was a rough team fight. Like, they tossed Skitter in. PYW trying to get something for his team, but Skitter, I think, just accepted it. Thank you very much for the free ride, and just cleans up. It's just so tough as now New getting caught by ATF. I mean, you've got the black hole if you want to throw it out, but you know, New's just going to run. He's going to try to run as ATF. He'll keep the chase up here with snaking. They've got the homing missile. I mean, New, I suppose at the very least, is buying his team a little bit of time, but it's going to be another kill to go the way of the offlane Mars. Looks like maybe now they just go right after the Tormentor on the Radiant side. PYW could stick around, see if he can snipe himself a target, but doesn't seem like that's going to quite happen.
Yep. Nice little shard as well for Crit to find. So a little bit more coming out with that Shukuchi with marks. And yeah, I mean, 6-13, 20k lead for Falcons. The one thing LGD has, again, is this high ground threat. Is this black hole that will eventually come out. They've almost got the BKB gold up for New. And he's got it now, so they can try for something. They've got to make something happen on that next knock Falcon gives them.
Mid lane. PYW will just retreat. Would still get caught out though, like they are wrapping. ATF, we know this guy just does not get intimidated by anyone. He's always going to go for the jump. Look, just look at this! New forced the BKB up. Here comes the cavalry. Black hole is committed though. New, he might have turned this one around. They're going to try for snaking on the IO, but no! Oh, snaking, he finally goes down. But what is it going to cost LGD? It seems like the price is going to be high here, John, as Falcons. They will continue the chase. They'll at least finish off the range racks, but it's a 2-for-1 trade. I mean, you lost your IO, but who cares?
I mean, that's a massive commitment from LGD. It looked like a good turn from New, but that means on his respawn, no black hole. That means you're relying fully on the Supernova to try to turn things around. They forced the buyback out from PYW, so Falcons will show some respect, but without the threat of black hole for all that time, for at least 2 minutes, it's scary. Great patience from New, just not enough.
Certainly not enough. I mean, even the Laguna Blade coming out and snaking, but he just survives a little bit longer and just forces Shura to focus him down throughout this engagement. And it's just, once you've got the IO, it's like, okay, we got something, but it seems like we need to get the hell out.
Evo had to kill that IO with a right click. So I think he walked back. That gave enough time for snaking to use his mech right before he died.
Right.
Which was just enough regen for them to withstand that storm. Like, he had to find that kill. I get the confidence with the Laguna. It's just again, not enough. You're not doing enough damage. You don't have your Ags on this Lina, which we saw was an issue as well in other games. When Lina doesn't have that Ags, you're not flying around, you don't have that as spell amplification on hand. It's just not as menacing as it should be. And that timing for Emo does feel pretty late. It's coming up. He's only about 170 gold away, so
it's coming.
There is going to be play. Again, all of these things are slowly lining up for LGD, but they've lost so much of the map. Just way too much to try to hold back Falcons.
We'll see if this Axe does change the game here from Emo. Does officially now buy out the Blade of Alacrity, so it's on the way. They need every little bit of damage that they can get here on the side of LGD, and well, there you go. Axe now up. Still a 23k advantage the way of Falcons, which, you know, it's a pretty tough time here for LGD, that's for sure. As Falcons now taking the Radiant Triangle away. Satanic fully completed on Skitter, which makes life even harder. You know, like, you focus the IO, but now he's got a Satanic.
Yep. I mean, even if you stun this guy up, the side gunner will give a little bit of value healing, especially if you manage to pop that Satanic right before something like the Black Hole comes out. So looking for the burst play onto Skitter is just that much harder. All outer towers gone for LGD. It's difficult for them to try to take Roche control as well. By the respawn timer, it does look like it will be a nighttime spawn up north for Falcons to seek out if they want to wait for that timer. And they've got the full Ags up in Malorine. Like this, it's difficult to see this turnaround. Like, it has to be perfect execution from LGD. It's got to be this really nice black hole onto at least 2 with the egg this time around, and with instant burst onto the IO while that control is there.
It does feel like there is a lot of pressure on you, that's for sure. You kind of, the game is in his hands at the moment. You could make the argument perhaps PYW could also kind of set up nicely with the Avalanche toss on a single target, but we've seen him do that quite a few times now, and generally they just struggle with the target he throws to them. So we'll see as they do smoke up. A 5-man smoke here from LGD. The Infest is there onto PYW. They will run somewhat towards Falcons, but Falcons are just hanging around their own dire triangle now. And it seems like LGD, they will decide to go through the Twin Gates instead. If there is a target top lane, They're going to find Crit perhaps, but Crit, he's a slippery man. Though no, they found Skitter. BKB pop, Skitter, he's going to man up. Black Hole is there. They do at least find snaking, but can they do it? Skitter, he's just giga chatting it up. They cannot get the damage out. Shiro is gone. So is Emo in the back. Genius call.
Oh my god. I mean, that was just the worst timing you could ask for.
What a mess.
From LGD. They see the TP in, they feel like they can burst him down with the Satanic up and the side gunner. It's just too much, just pretty atrocious start for Lifestealer. There is the Pucknet to save at the very least. An early decrep can kind of hold off that aggression. But, you know, Lifestealer's first two, maybe arguably first 3 levels are pretty meh. You kind of want to trade. You've got the Harass to play far. Sure, Centaur is a strength here, but he does do decent damage early on. He doesn't care too much about the sustain from Lifestealer. So that's what I want to see from LGD. Kind of win out this bot lane, win out their off lane really nicely, and kind of build off that momentum. Try to get a pretty decent level 6 timing on your line to start to rotate, play around with your Invoker, and play around with this Shadow Step that will come out from Shiro down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, game 1, of course, Falcons looked absolutely fantastic, just completely outmaneuvering and outplaying the side of LGD. And well, hold on a minute, Skitter. Gonna run right into YU Smile. They haven't seen each other quite yet, LGD. Barely missing out. Skitter will just walk right by them. LGD, I suppose they do have the numbers here, so it is Falcons that need to be a little bit more careful. Falcons hanging around the top side, trying to see if they can find themselves a target around the mid lane, but LGD playing very, very cautiously around that area. Will reveal himself, but it's going to amount to nothing.
Should be pretty decent time in trades. Really good forward ward being dropped here by Falcons, watching them move into that ramp. They will trade evenly this time on Bounty Rune, so it's a little bit of a different story from last time. But yeah, like they got the information, with a quick D ward, a little bit of a bonus. If they planted their ward on that cliff earlier instead, they had the position, they could have maybe gone for that play on Skipper. They held off, they played conservatively, they miss out. We'll see how much more they can get out though as the laning phase does break out. Y hanging around for now, could just take the gate, but I don't know about this early commitment if Y does stay. Should just go back up top. You don't want to leave your Spectre alone too long. You want to poke away these heroes and give some space for Shiro.
Yeah, there's not much you can do as a level 1 Phoenix anyway. You know, just get to your lane, so help out your cores. We'll see bottom lane, LGD, of course they've got PYW and New jumping right in onto Snaking, and Skitter trying to help out, though Snaking dropping extremely low, but will be just fine to walk away. Of course, into the mid lane, Emo again up against the Dragon Knight of Maureen. I dare say the Invoker does not enjoy this matchup either.
No, certainly doesn't. I mean, you just keep shoving out the Wavered Breed Fire. You can't lose in trades for the most part with Dragon Blood to sustain you. You have some decent movement that can come out here from the side of LGD with Lion, but rotating into the Invoker lane early doesn't sound too feasible. If they didn't do it with the Lina lane, I don't know if you're really going to try to force it with the Invoker lane on mid.
Yeah. Of course, top lane, Shiro and YU Smile against Crit and ATF again. Of course, the off lane of Falcons last game. I mean, it went really, really damn well and really disastrously for LGD. ATF obviously was completely out of control that game, and Crit was just doing so much as bottom lane. Skitter again under attack is going to be okay. Back to my point though, Jonathan, I feel like the safe lane of LGD is going to be extremely important. You really don't want to allow ATF and Crit to just get out of control, because they're just causing too much trouble.
You can't allow what happened in Game 1. At the very least this time around, it's a little bit easier to read where Crit wants to play. So you don't have to invest that much. You don't have to bring out all of these sentries to prevent him from just harassing out. It's a little bit harder for him to give Amar as much free room, and there's a little bit of wiggle room for Shiro in comparison to last time around. But once the levels are up, that's where it gets a little bit concerning. Again, the chain stun's coming out. If you can land the cookie into a spear, you're pretty happy. It doesn't take too much to kill off the Spectre early on. And you can start to snowball from there again. So it's just down to whether or not they find that angle or whether or not LGD pushes out the lane maybe a little bit too far.
I mean, you see the harassment here from Emo to Maureen. He just literally takes no damage from the cold snap of Emo, and you see Maureen just giga chatting it up, running right towards the Invoker. No fear in the world, and there's just sadly nothing Emo can do in this mid lane apart from just try to secure some creeps. But just like last game, already is finding himself struggling here against the Dragon Knight. His top lane, YU Smile. Trying to trade harassment with Crit, but the Phoenix not having a great time. Obviously, the level 3 mark is probably a bit more of a spike here for YU Smile, but kind of easier said than done to get to that point here in this lane.
Yeah, even if you hit that level 3, I don't see that many opportunities to come in when you have a Spectre on hand. So you're going to be looking to hold it back, play passively again. If you hit level 6 on Shiro, and that ties into, say, a rotation potential, that's where you can start to play with Shadow Step.
You be careful, Crit. Not going to go for the cookie play. There's no spear out from ATF either. The one, I suppose, saving grace right now for LGD during this laning stage is probably the offlane, where you are seeing you having a pretty damn decent time. Only problem is Skid is having a much better time.
And he is. He's not being shoved out. He's at level 3. You know, he's been dropping low, but they couldn't really go for that early kill, try to slow down that life stealer. They will find why eventually.
Yeah, first blood to go the way of ATF, which is someone you really don't want to give it to. And Shiro was trying to fight back, but now he's just taking so much damage on the way out. And this is kind of the thing with Spectre. It's a very weak laning hero. You heard the panel say it. Or even with the chase onto the snap, it just means nothing. Is now bottom lane, New going to try and jump in onto Snaking. They will find a great kill onto the Pugna. Skidder also in a little bit of danger, but now Shiro in trouble. Spear gonna land, but it will not end up landing onto a tree. So no stun to come out as PYW. Bit off the mark there with that Earth Spike. Never mind though, New still chasing him down with a great hoof stomp out. Skidder is gonna go down. Huge kills coming up from LGD.
Yeah, they're starting to turn it around. Again, this lane is the one lane that I wanted to see that improvement from LGD. They're playing with their burst damage really nicely. They're tying in with the early Egg Sword from Emo as well. And he is playing Quasic Sword, but again, no one's going to be going into his mid lane, so he might as well try to look for some opportunities in the side lanes. Has a 300 damage Sunstrike ready to go, and with the stuns you have, the bot lane is where you're always going to be setting your eyes on now if you're LGD.
Again, the saving grace here for LGD, just the aggression you can apply here with this duo on the off lane is... We keep looking back to Malrine, who's still dominating that mid lane. Of course, you saw Shiro really struggling up top as well. ATF having the freest lane of a lifetime here, 27 and 18 on that off lane Mars. Not a very good sign here for the Dire. Again, now you kind of hope New is able to match the aggression from his own side of the off lane, but... ATF just, again, finding exactly the kind of start he would like.
Yeah, it's building up, and even Y is hurting on Phoenix. Just hits level 3 now, so, you know, that additional damage from the Fire Spirits is ready, but, again, how do you connect that? How do you connect that to anything with a Spectre on lane? It just doesn't feel like you'll find it. No way to move on to the mid. The mid holds steady again for Malrine. You can expect this DK, once he hits 6, to just shove into the tier 1 again. If no one comes in to contest, it's going to be the same tempo we saw from Falcons in the last game.
Mid lane, there might be a little bit of action breaking out. Bit of a chase here from Snaking, but was onto PYW. Looks like PYW does manage to get his way out of there. Mid lane, Crit and Malrine hanging out together. Malrine does have the level 6 mark, so does go right into the Dragon Form, and this is exactly what we saw in Game 1. As soon as he hits 6, the support rotations come in. Just allows him to get those free hits off onto the mid-tier 1 tower, and it will force LGD to also start rotating supports to help out Emo, though Emo getting caught by Crit. Great positioning from the Snapfire, but they can't get the follow-up. In fact, now Emo going to turn around with the Chaos Meteor onto Malrine. It could be a huge kill, and it will be. Malrine to go down. Snaking also being chased, but will be able to walk away. But you see how much emphasis LGD put onto that mid-game.
That's exactly what they need. Course correcting from game 1, not allowing that pressure to sit in. Really good flank coming out from Crit. I'm a bit surprised they didn't read that. They saw Crit clear out the obs. He still snuck around, still found that angle, but the punishment did come true. And again, this time around, you can afford to leave your side lanes a little bit more. Like your Spectre can at least try to dagger out. It's a little bit more durable to leave in lane. So you have that leeway for the side of LGD to actually move around the map now. New. He's stable in his bot lane. He's going for that Vanguard. And again, we're starting to hit some of these times for LGD. Closing in on that level 6 on Lion, on the early Shadow Step. And again, with this presence, with this emphasis on Sunstrike for Emo, I can see the ball rolling once you can just Shadow Step onto whoever your Lion Centaur is jumping onto.
Mid-tier 1 tower still under siege. Like, you've even got just this Pugna running in, casually throwing Nether Blasts out. It's just no relief for LGD when it comes to the mid lane, and PYW kind of just stood there for a while. They'll go for a bit of a run now, maybe just looking for the bait onto Malrine. They'll get the Hex out. Chaos Meteor to land, but it's just no damage. Malrine still perfectly fine. still able to secure the Arcane Rune, and now with the Dragon form, I mean, he'll pop it immediately, knowing the cooldowns are going to be a lot lower. And that tier 1 mid tower, I mean, it's just looking as good as at this point. Just with the way this game's being played by Falcons, they are not retreating from this mid area, and well, quite frankly, why should they?
And they have no reason to. Back-to-back runes in the favor of Malrine. Shield rune to allow him to tank. Now the lower cooldown on the Elder Dragon form. He's just going to be poking it again, even if he doesn't find it now. Again, the big difference for LGD, you're getting some openings on the side lanes. You are allowed to leave your course alone, but it's eyeing Shiro now. They wanted to try.
And they land a spear, though. Crit setting up for the cookie. Does get it very, very nicely, though Sunray is going to be there to help out, and immediately the rotation here from Emo to try and get something. They'll pop the Stampede. Defensive Arena is out. Shiro, he'll find Crit on the Snapfire, so Crit still stick charging up, trying to run. ATF in the meantime, looking to go back in. He'll try to focus down Emo, but they have not got the backup required. Only Snaking was there to help out, and that is definitely not going to be enough.
Not quite enough. Good punishment for that chase down from the side of Falcons and LGD. And this is something that the panel pointed out. Oh.
Shiro, be very careful here, sir. Yeah, that's a problem, John. When ATF literally just walks in and kills you like that, that's a bit of a problem.
That it is. They find one nice pick-off. They don't quite respect... you feel a little bit safer. You know, you don't have to worry about Arena. You're still a Spectre. You know, and like your Phoenix can only do so much for the Sunray.
Speaking
was on
of that
cooldown
Phoenix.
And why?
I mean, he's going to find something to do here, John, but it's sadly dying. As ATF finding his third kill of the game. Going back to the Spectre for a moment, he's currently sitting at 2.7k net worth. Not exactly something to write home about. And well, of course, now he's going to be lacking that safe lane to farm in. Tier 1 top tower also to go down. Of course, Malrine did find the mid-tier 1 tower earlier. Just the exact same strategy here from Falcons, just completely outmaneuvering the side of LGD, taking these very early tier 1s and opening up the map. And sadly for LGD, with their own draft, they are not online early enough to really be able to fight back.
No. I mean, even his finger from PYW, not quite onto that level 6 mark yet, 10 minutes in. Kind of to be expected for this kind of pace from LGD. They don't have it. Again, it's kind of the same issue from game 1. Like, their angles for initiation aren't clear outside of like Stampede. Once you hit that blink timing on New, which the panel pointed out as well, this is when they can start to do a little bit more. Try to shadow step in, try to find a pick off. Smoke out from Falcons here though.
They go down towards the bot lane. Of course, that's where the last outer tier 1 tower is, so they will just rush towards that area. ATF and Crit. The dynamic duo looking to find New here on the Centaur. New, he does have the Stampede available, but they land the cookie. They've got the spear out. He could still have the option to pop the Stampede, but they'll just drop the Arena. No messing around from ATF. PYW, you're going to try and TP away, and they won't have the cancel. You do at least get the Pugner away, but you lose your Centaur, and now you've probably lost that tier 1 bottom tower.
Oh, it's just gone.
Yeah.
You've got the damage with snaking around. This push doesn't take too long to accomplish. And LGD, man, they've just got the stall. Kind of the same story as game 1, except you're hinging more on New's blink, more than PYW into getting his action going. Tier 1 gone, same timing again, around 11:40 for all of those tier 1s gone. Falcons, they've got this really good tempo.
He could get punished here. Surely you do punish, as ATF does get caught by the Earth Spike and is going to go down. LGD able to find themselves a huge pick-off onto this off-lane Mars, and well, ATF, you know, being caught in that position, it kind of just goes to show the mind state here of ATF, just feeling like they can't actually deal with it.
Yeah, they're pretty far forward, pretty disconnected. Good opening to be found by LGD. And that is a lot of gold to inject back into the system. Really good use of that first shadow step as well for Shiro. Straight into the Ancients farm, which they couldn't invade for Falcons. They spot it, they walk into that triangle, but ATF is still in lane. So now they've got the opportunity to share this farm, share that EXP, hit that level 6 on PYW, hit that level 6 on Y, and now you can play a little bit more. You know, you've got that uptime, you've got this tempo that the Spectre can bring with Shadow Step. You just need to find the angles now.
There you do. We'll see if they can get that done. Shiro desperately trying to catch up in terms of the farm department. At least almost has the blade mail up. Just needs the recipe now and could help him escalate a lot faster. But we shall see. 3k advantage still standing on the side of Falcons, and it seems like Falcons will take the time now to sit back and relax and just try to escalate their own net worth. I mean, they have all their outer towers. Like, all T1 towers are still standing here for Falcons, so there's plenty of space on the map to farm. And now New, let's get caught in the arena of ATF. Just so much damage. The kisses,
no, it's too close.
It's way too close. Crit, gonna get caught. Chaos Meteor out onto Maureen as well, though everyone somehow still alive, still surviving just for a little bit longer. Crit finally goes down. But it seems like they'll be able to get Maureen away, though. ATF, he did jump in aggressively, and it seems like he will be punished as the live train is keeping alive. ATF still running. The suck, it's too powerful. Why you smile? Dropping low, so is Shiro, but they will not be able to land the stun. It's still a tough fight for LGD. I mean, they do salvage, John, but it looked pretty messy.
They salvage, but it's a costly salvage. That's your egg down, that's finger down, for not much more than really this crit Snapfire, which was too close to get the kisses off. Maybe a little bit of a disconnect there in the execution. But again, so much effort for that one support. That's an opening. Falcons don't have that many long cooldowns to wait for. So once they're all kind of reset and if they want to go, they'll just be free to do so again.
Just look at that. I mean, they got like 100 HP away from killing off ATF, and they just could not do it. The Infest plus the live train coming out, just keeping him alive long enough, and another demoralizing fight here for LGD. So it is still just a 4K advantage the way of Falcon. So already a much better game when you count the net worth department.
Sure, a little bit better than that game.
We've got to take the little wins here, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know? Stay positive. Still, again, Falcons, they're not going to be waiting around. They've got that blink up on Malrine. They're just going to go.
That's a quick hex. That is a very quick hex from PYW. He was ready for that one, but in comes Crit and Malrine from the side. ATF still chasing down the Lion. Arena's down as well, catching out Shiro. But do they commit? Shiro's got the backup. In comes New. ATF being targeted. Ooh. They've got the Mars down. Perhaps it's the team fight LGD have been looking for. They'll rush Crit, but in comes Skitter. Why you smile? Just copping a shotgun blast to the face. And now Shiro. Oh, Shiro's been stunned up. Shiro's gone. 3 for 1.
I'm a little bit surprised he fully committed on the Shadow Step. I get using it to just try to slow down, try to break it up a little bit. But he commits. He goes in. There was not enough backup. They at least get the Sunstrike kill, but it just felt, again, a little bit disconnected. You weren't close enough for New to get that counter initiation going for yourself. And they just managed to burst down your line anyway. It just falls apart.
It just seems like the focus is really ATF in these team fights, and I can't quite blame them, but this is where things just went wrong. Running right into Crit, he gets a 3-man Scatter Blast, and well, that was pretty much all she wrote. At least New does manage to TP away, but you lose Shiro, and well, now you've got some time to think about what happened in that last team fight for LGD, because you've got a pause going on.
Yeah, they can try to plan around it. Not a fairly long pause, fairly quick here. There's so much more time needed to really...
Absolutely.
And the shard.
Absolutely.
That's gonna win. That's gonna win them the game.
Of course. That's what I've been reading.
It's just unbeatable. Eventually, that's the one condition. Along with, well, just finding the angle in with a blink up on you. Falcons, they're in a happy position. 9-7, 5K up. As you mentioned, a little bit closer this game, but they're still certainly in control. We haven't even really seen Skitter join in. He's working on his own Radiance. His timing on his Lifestealers definitely going to be faster than Shiro on that Spectre. So once you have that Radiance up as well, it just makes it so hard. Like if you're trying to blink in pretty close range, you're just not going to be able to do so. It's going to be harder to find that angle without expending Stampede as well.
Top lane. A smoke here from PYW on New, but ATF and Snaking hanging around together. It's a 2v2 scenario. Nice move stop though, and now Shiro, he can come right in. They'll take down Snaking, and they've got ATF as well. PYW now with the double kill out. I saw you make a little fist there, Jonathan. You looked very happy to see Lion getting some kills.
Yeah, it's necessary. You know, you're building up some of those stacks. 1 finger stack. So you're going to get that 70 HP when you hit 15.
Oh.
Try to pile it up some more with that plate mail.
I'm bat chesting, John.
That's what you need. More kills for PYW. It's got to go to him with a finger. But it's a big kill. You know, they get the rotation out. Finally, they find that angle with the blinks out. And That's the way they can bully. They've been playing off the back of this max exort on Emo quite nicely. They just can't afford to put their foot off the pedal.
Emo. He's going to be feeling quite emo here, John, as he's looking to go down to the kisses of Crit. Nothing the man could have done, just being caught out by the stun of Malrine. And of course that was, I believe, the blink reveal coming out. Perhaps not, but perhaps. Emo, you'd assume you'd be safe by the tier 2 mid tower, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would assume that. They have some really good forward wards here from the side of Falcons to give them some pretty good information for that kind of flanking move. And side of LGD, they just committed top.
Yeah.
So they knew mid would just be free. Get that punishment, get the kisses off. And LGD, it's not the worst thing to lose, even though it's your Invoker. You're probably happier it's not Shiro again.
Yeah.
Because you really need that build-up. It just takes so long for a Spectre to try to play from behind. It needs so much space. And look at Falcons, their vision game, they're invading that entire top jungle. 3 wards watching entry points in the top jungle, starting to shove in on the tier 2s on both lanes.
Oh, Malrine getting caught new. A great double stun coming out. Snaking being targeted first, and now Malrine will be the follow-up.
Stuns, man.
I mean, he's been fantastic this game. You're just constantly jumping in for the multi-man stuns. Really putting the team on his back.
That and their target prioritization is excellent. They're always going for snaking first. He cops the Sun Strike. He cops all of that nuking. They just remove that factor of decrep, remove the factor of life drain, and it just makes it a lot harder to play through that sustain here for Falcons. You expect the Pugna to be further behind.
You've got Skitter infested here on the Mars. Emo is being watched very carefully by ATF, and they jump in, but a nice Cyclone is there onto the Mars, though. Emo accepting the fact he does need to fight. They'll drop the Sun Ray, they'll drop the Egg, they'll drop even the Hoof Stop, but nothing really working out here for LGD. As Skitter, looking for the chase, does go down the path through the mid-river, chasing down New. In fact, it seems like they are going to change directions towards YU Smile, but they've missed out on everyone else. So you take the Emo kill, and that'll be about it. LGD, they get everyone else out of there, at least for now.
Yeah, you find a pretty nice mid kill. You save your tier 1 as well. So you're preventing LGD from trying to open up the map a little bit more. Even though tier 1 at this point doesn't give you much, it's still an additional TP point. It's still an additional area where LGD is not going to be comfy and trying to sneak around. So you're hanging on to that advantage here for Falcons. Still 7k up. You've got that full Radiance on Skitter. So his presence in the infests are pretty damn big. And again, everything's still kind of lining up. A little bit more even for LGD. The Radiance timing for Shiro isn't too far off, considering this kind of game.
Oh, Emo, no. No.
Oh, boy.
Not Emo.
Again. The same exact move.
Excuse the pun, John, but this is getting rather depressing for Emo.
That it is. That it is. Maybe he's starting to rock out in that My Chemical Romance. Shadow Step?
Yeah, jump is there. They'll at least punish ATF. Not a bad trade at all for LGD. I mean, considering the impact that you're having on this Mars, it's probably more worthwhile than, say, Emo's life at the moment.
Yeah, but you're giving up a push opportunity up top. You're not going to be able to rotate to stop this. You've got the Pugna and the DK that just hammer through. Fortify will stall it, but it's down to less than half HP. One more shove will open up that area of the map completely for the side of Falcons. And it's just a further choking away for LGD to try to catch up here. Smoke out, but smoke out in Falcons as well.
Falcons. Where do they head? Right about now at the top side, you don't really have any targets here from LGD. LGD kind of in a similar situation, just around the bot side of the map. Have no options for themselves in terms of Falcon heroes. They'll find out the hard way very, very soon. The Falcons, though, you could just kind of decide to go after the top tier 2 tower. You always have that option available to you, even without the Dragon form, but Malrine is now going to have it up and available. You'll have a gander through that top side of the map, see if you can find anyone farming those creeps. Instead, now TPing down towards the bottom side of the map. Still having a look here is Malrine. They might even run right into Shiro, and it seems like they have. In fact, it was New getting caught out of the Centaur, so New does go down.
That's a pretty big pickoff. That's a lot of time invested in that infest for Skitter. But they find a pretty decent hero to take out, applying pressure. Emo, trying to clear out the Ancients. A little bit dicey, but it's fine. They open up the Roche opportunity now. Without that Stampede, without the Centaur for a little bit of time, they can attempt it. They've got the damage. And they've got the forward vision. Like, they've got, again, this really nice ward right in front of where the tier 1 would be. So you can't just run up and contest on LGD. And Falcons, this should be their ticket to find some tier 2s, maybe start to knock onto the high ground if they wished.
Oh, Roshan's certainly going to go down. LGD in no position to try and contest this Roshan play. Falcons now 7k ahead, 13 to 12, 22 and a half minutes in. Sunstrike will reveal that Roshan is indeed happening, but you don't really have any kind of play towards it. Skitter was leaving just the Roshan, the Aegis in the pit, does decide to pick it up.
It's a big pickup, good scan to just spot that movement from Falcons, but it's a very expected movement out post-Roshan. They've got the Veil up on Y, so a little bit more damage can fly in. They are pretty reliant on magical damage right now. Your Spectre's not really doing too much physical, it's just looking to disperse back. So you've got, again, some combinations ready. If they find an angle, again, I think 2 lives in the Life Stealer is pretty feasible if they stack their stuns properly. We'll see. Going out for the smoke play.
They certainly are. 3-man smoke out from LGD. Grouping up for a 4th now as Emo does join the crew. BKB now available on Emo to boot, so a nice little power spike here for the Invoker. Snaking is the closest option to them, though ATF now showing himself, but the Earth Spike not going to land. Still New, at least there, to follow up with his own stun, but do they have the damage output? They're going to try and drop the egg here onto ATF, but he does get the BKB off in time. Still PYW and New chasing them down with the Stampede out. They'll run right into the high ground, but there goes PYW. Now the arena drop, though, completely whiffed, but it was perhaps a little bit defensive as Why You Smile is going to go down a boot in the river. New trying to get out of here. The chase is on, though. Maureen probably going to find him. Skitter jumps out with the Infest, and, well, that's just 3 down. New getting tipped here by ATF to boot. Just so aggressive.
They really forced that movement out. Like PYW chasing forward, trying to get that finger timing right as the BKB fades, just
Emo?
too early.
Emo? BKB's been committed. Emo's going to force to get a TP out of there, and he does make it. Sunstrike not going to land.
No.
I mean, I appreciate that play.
Yeah.
It's optimistic, but I appreciate it.
I mean, you've got to find something at this point for LGD. He tries to find it, doesn't quite get it.
He found a tip, John.
He found a tip.
That's what he found.
I mean, this chase was just, it's way too prolonged. Life drain in back, they couldn't find Snaking this time around. And then the burst play from PYW, it's just not there. Goes for the finger, it's spell immunity's still on.
Oh, it's painful to watch, isn't it, John? I mean, you're a Lion player, you've done that a few times, I'm sure.
It happens. You know, that first charge always feels longer.
I mean, I'd never miss like that, to be fair, but maybe you.
If you say so, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, you say it, not me. But yeah, it's a rough time for LGD. That's the exact same movement that they found success with, but you miss one stun, and you know you have more spacing for snaking. That's the big correction for Falcons. As long as the Pugna doesn't get bursted down first, life drain, decrep, they are going to be issues.
Yeah. And here we go again. Falcons infested up here with the Dragon Knight, so Maureen looking for another target. So is ATF down towards the bottom side of the map, though barely going to miss out on the Phoenix. I say that though, ATF, he smells some chicken in the forest and it looks like he found it. Why You Smile going to try and Icarus dive away, but there is no running. ATF, hands already up. Keck, oh, the egg even being dropped here. I mean, I suppose perhaps you're going to get away with a secondary life as ATF just hold. Oh, what a spear!
My God!
What a spear to come out from ATF. The timing is perfect. And Why You Smile.
Oh, Mar.
That's a Keck buy, John. That is a Keck buy, is New. I mean, still playing around with the Dragon Knight. New dropping quite low. We'll go for the TP play out, but no, the Dragon Tail's going to be there. He is gone. And it seems as though they are not done yet, because PYW is going to go for a bit of a cheeky run, try to run towards the south and escape the grasp of ATF, and it seems like this time around, he is going to make it. Here we go.
Oh, this timing, man.
ATF, you can't give this guy months. You can't give this guy months.
Look at this.
Oh,
jeez.
Oh, that's a shish kebab, Jonathan.
Oh, it certainly is. Fresh delivery out. And they were eaten well down bot. Ugh. Gosh, Amar. Hands up as well.
He's had experience with those shish kebabs, John.
Oh, that he has.
I've seen him.
That he has.
I saw him eating some in the lobby.
That they have. I'm sure all of Falcons now, you know, digging into that. As they are also digging into that tier 3 up top. And LGD, they do have some high ground. This is where you can shine on that Centaur, but you've got to find snaking. You've got to find the backline, really. Like that's where LGD's success has been coming from. They need to pinpoint this Pugna. Take care of that healing, burst him down, try to clean up afterwards. you've got some decent presence coming out from your spec, considering how tough of a game it has been for Shiro. There is some presence. The Manta style is almost done. But if you try to turtle like this, eventually... Oh,
jump in, snaking. Will get caught, finger committed. Snaking does go down. Nice little pick off there from LGD, realizing snaking was running in for the Nether Blast into the tier 3 tower. Mind you, the creeps do find the tier 3 anyway, so I suppose snaking gives his life away for nothing, but you still get the tower.
Yeah, they find the objective. They also find out that there are wards, double sentries, and 1 obs in that area. So same play can't quite come out for LGD, and as the D wards will eventually come in for Falcons, or they avoid that area entirely. 12k lead standing for the Falcons, and LGD. We've seen a lot better fights here. Right? I am very curious as to if whether or not PYW will actually finish this Midas before Blink. Maybe taking that plate mail build to heart, but hopefully not. I think the Blink is going to be a lot more impactful for him. Get that instant Hex out.
It's not what Reddit tells me, John.
No.
Mid lane. Emo probably going to want to stay off Reddit after this series.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah. He's just
it
like
is.
that.
Yeah, it's the Black Parade here, Jonathan, in the mid lane.
That it is.
Not his parade, though.
It's a banger at the very least. It's a bit of an earworm for him.
Top lane, rather. Why you smile? Does not want a bar of ATF nor Snake. We'll leave the area.
I like the Satanic being up in Amar. Just more sustain up front. It's going to be even harder to try to burst play him down. Oh, hunting for Y again.
They certainly are. Why you smile cannot get away from your favorite shish kebab dealer here at ATF.
Ooh.
Looking for that chicken, will not find. Why you smile? Going to be okay this time to get his way out of it. Problem is, Jonathan, the bottom tier 2 tower can't do.
Yeah. Just sieging away. They don't need to fully commit in Falcons. They've got the map under their control and just trying to rip more of it away from the side of LGD. Not fully committing though, so they aren't looking to play too fast here in Falcons. Maybe again wait for that next Roche could be an option as well. Not too much left to wait for. Maybe the Octarine, just for more uptime on Malrine, that's a little bit more of a bonus. Still got the Infest running on Malrine, so could try for a jump.
I believe Skidder doesn't feel like he has to leave the
No,
deck. I mean, you just don't need the farm.
No.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Malrine will carry for us. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he can steal some creeps anyway with Radiance.
I mean, Kezu was, mentioning, Malrine, basically the next miracle.
Yeah.
And I was bat-chesting Jonathan.
Yeah.
I saw his performance.
We've seen him a couple of times, and every single time he's been the highlight of pretty much every team he's been on. So they will go back for that siege on high ground.
Malrine going to find Shiro just standing there, but he's a big tanky boy. He's going to try and jump in. Skidder jumping right back out, going after the Centaur, and there is just nothing they can do to follow up. Malrine literally took no damage as PYW going down to ATF. Meanwhile, in goes Malrine once again onto the Phoenix. Why You Smile is burning alive as Crit will just throw hot charcoal at him. If you couldn't tell, Jonathan, I am quite hungry at the moment. That's why I keep making food references.
I mean, from the shish kebab alone, Mike, they've been cooking.
It's charcoal chicken this time, John.
Some delicious charcoal chicken. What's not delicious for LGD is losing your buildings while they're cooking up something on Falcons. And without a lot of their spells up, it's going to be a difficult proposition to fight back. They've got Stampede. They could try for a Blink Hoof Stomp. Some sort of combination. I just don't see you doing enough damage at this point. They are just too durable on the side of Falcons. They'll take the mid. Mega Creeps prevented with that tier 2 still standing. But how much hold LGD has left? How much bite? I wouldn't say it's not that much bite left. They've got to really bite harder.
Yeah. I mean, this is about as one-sided as me arguing with my wife, Jonathan. I mean, just absolutely zero chance, let me tell you. Zero chance. I mean, LGD, they are still at least trying. They're not as weak as me, Jonathan, at the very least. So there you go. Falcons. 5-man smoked up again. I say 5-man. It's a 4-man, but Skidder, he's going to take a free ride through the Dragon Knight. Through the bottom lane, LGD, they're also going to go for a 5-man smoke. This could be the last-ditch effort to try and make this game work. LGD
Good
looking
scan.
for a target, but I don't think you want the Dragon Knight. You need the support at the very least. It's new. He's going to try and jump in, but he's stunned up immediately. He found no target. Why You Smile? In trouble again. He's still surviving, though, as ATF now being targeted on the Mars, but he's just not taking enough damage. He is not taking enough damage. They'll buy back on Why You Smile. Looks like they've caught out Shiro. Tips out on you. What can you do? It's one of those games, John. What can you do?
Not much. Not much. I will want to point out as well that PYW did finish the Midas and did go for the shard over a blink first.
Of course he did, John.
He just needs those
He
plate
just
mails
needs
now.
the plate mail.
That's it. Eventually, the BKBs will be short enough that he will be able to just drain all their mana. Doesn't come into play there. Roshan is taken off the back of that. And Falcons, again, in a very strong position. Tier 2 still stands bot. Not going to be standing for long. Really unfortunate fight for LG. Just their smoke breaks. The scan was there from Falcons. So they had that information beforehand. And the blind blink out from New. Just not catching anyone. Not being able to find that Pugna. It just destroys their fight.
It certainly does. The LGD, they are trying their absolute best here to salvage this game number 2, but it is just getting worse and worse as the tier 2 bottom tower now goes down. That is the last outer tower remaining. Of course, one Rax is left standing as well, and that is down through the bot lane. Falcons will go for the easy Tormentor pick off on the Dire side. That'll be snaking now with his shards up. And it seems like Falcons, they might just relax for a little bit, John. Just control the map, get